Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Truth Bumps. How are you tonight? It feels so good to be back after taking last week off. I've had some changes here personally that just needed to get adjusted to last week. And also part of the reason why Sharon was so kind to switch with me for this week. So from here on out, we've got Truth Bumps on Tuesdays. And then we have Oracle card readings with Sharon every Thursday here on Shadowhunters Paranormal Investigation and Events page. So welcome. So good to see everyone. Metaphorically speaking. Hi, Danny. Hi, Julie. Hi, Nida. Hi, Dale. So good to have you all here. Hi, Barbara. I missed you too. Aw. Very good to be back. And for anyone who's in Psychics Unite, I'll be back to the Monday night meetings here soon too, just a few more weeks. But it's definitely been, it feels like a lot longer has passed than it actually has. So very glad to be here. Tonight, tonight's not a coincidence. I wanted to talk about how to preserve and protect your energy in highly emotional or chaotic, ever-changing environments. Or it could just be your own living situation, really whatever might be draining your own energy at this time. You have the ability to take that back and actually save more of yourself for quality time when you have time off. So this is like, have you ever felt like you're literally just working for the weekend, but when the weekend gets here, you're too tired to do anything? That's very frustrating. And not only is it very frustrating, but then that starts to perpetuate a whole poor quality of life. You don't enjoy your work. You don't clearly enjoy your play because you're not getting any. And our playfulness is one of the things that directly tie us to Creator and Spirit. It directly ties us to our spirit guides, who are extremely playful beings. And it directly ties us to our own innate ability to connect to ourselves and be happy and joyful. And when we know that when we're happy and joyful, things just start to come to us. Things start to fall into place. Alignment happens, and then synchronicity happens, and then all of these beautiful opportunities come into place. So that was a really long way to say that it all starts in protecting your energy and being mindful of how you're spending your energy or where your energy might be leaking away. And once we are aware of that and mindful of that, and we just take some very small but consistent steps to pull that energy back in and save it for ourselves, then all of a sudden we find that our weekends are more enjoyable, our evenings are a lot more relaxed, and we are at peace more often with what is. So I just want to say hi to everyone who's coming into the room. Hi, Ronald. Hi, Diana. Hi, Kelly. So good to see you guys. Hi, Linda. Hi. So good to see everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. So I wanted to start tonight's show a little bit differently than I have in the past. And I thought that I might pull a tarot card for us for this upcoming week. Just to kind of see if there is, or what is, the upcoming themes, generally speaking, for everyone here. Hi, Sharon. So nice to see you. So give me a second while I just shuffle the cards, and then maybe tell me some of your, what are some of the challenges that you find when you have accidentally let your energy just kind of slip away and you spent it on other people, places, or things and haven't reserved enough for yourself in your time off? How do you feel? What do we need to know for this week coming up? What's coming up for us? Oh my gosh, it is the Ace of Cups. And this is actually a really amazing card for this topic for us tonight. I was kind of curious to see what would happen if we started seeing patterns, and I think we will. I think I'll start doing this at the beginning of every show, pull a card for us to kind of focus on for the week coming up and see how it might align with some of the messages that I've been getting from Spirit on what to talk about during these shows. So, in the deck of tarot, Ace is all about new beginnings. It's the beginning of that series of that suit. It goes from Ace, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to tens. And then you've got your knights, your pages, your knights, your queens, and your kings. And the cups are all about our emotions, which are often so tied to our energy, and is our emotions are one of the first things that can be affected or impacted when we're letting our energy kind of slip out and we're not really being aware of ourselves in that moment. So the Ace of Cups is talking about new beginnings where we can become more emotionally connected. This is also about, I feel, family, relationship. It feels like globally, as things start to shift in the United States and the world around COVID and the vaccine, things are starting to open up. People are going back to work. People are going back to schools. This feels like a message to be more mindful about some of the new things that are coming up for us that can affect our emotions. And I think it is directly tied to our energy. So with this, you just might want to be aware of some of the new family dynamics that we haven't had to be aware of over the last almost 10, 11 months. So this could be ride sharing. This could be having to start packing lunches. It feels like a lot of tiny little things that can really add up to be very big inconveniences very quickly if we just don't take a moment, ask ourselves, okay, what could be coming up for ourselves over the next 24 hours? What do I need to plan? What do I need to be aware of? So if you're not used to packing your lunch for the last 12 months, and now all of a sudden you have to wake up at 8 or you have to wake up at 6, be out the door by 7:30, be somewhere by 8 a.m. You may forget how long it takes to decide how to pick out your outfit or to pack your lunch. So it's just little things like that that we may be facing over the next week that we want to try and keep in mind. I know that here locally, some students are going back to school, and I've been hearing a lot from that community now that they're going back to school full time, and they didn't really ease them in. They just opened the doors and kicked them into the building. That's been some of the things that have come up for them too. So if you're finding yourself coming up with new situations this week that might require a different version of the self that has been showing up the last 12 months, keep patient, keep present, and definitely pay attention or keep in mind some of the things that we'll be talking about tonight, because I think it will really help. So that is the Ace of Cups. Earlier I asked, how do you feel when you don't get to spend your weekends the way you want to because your energy has just slipped out? And Diana, I totally agree. That burned out feeling I'm quite familiar with, and I'm sure a lot of us are. You spend so much time during the week in the end, you get no time to recover, rest, or rejuvenate, which is what our downtime is supposed to be for. Barbara, you're saying exhausted, and I totally understand that. Like, we work so hard sometimes during the week that we're too tired to take care of some things that come up for us during the week. So guess what? That all gets pushed over to our weekend. So then if we're taking our weekend to catch up on all this stuff that we missed, where are we supposed to get this time to ourselves to kind of recover? Hi, Jen. Yeah, Julie, I get it. Yes, exhausted is a big one. I think exhausted and burned out are definitely two huge indicators of things that happen to us when we don't have enough energy to get us through our week. And then on our days off or our weekend are impacted. So imagine our energy like this huge bowl of water that you're just carrying around day after day, and it's filled to the brim. And every person you encounter, or every crossroad that you come across, every decision you've got to make, it jostles that bowl just a little bit. And depending on how much it jostles the bottle or the bowl of water, uh, also depends on how much of a good hold you have on this. Okay, so if we aren't conscious about how we're holding this bowl of water and where it's at, and we're not in the moment and present thinking about what we're coming up against, that jostling could cause quite a spill of the water. And the water that spills out doesn't necessarily come back right away unless we're conscious about it and we can scoop it back in. So this might be that someone surprises us, we shake the bowl. Someone says, "Oh, that water looks refreshing," and they just help themselves to a cup without even asking. Obviously, this is a metaphor for our energy. Our energy is a lot like this bowl of water, but it's a little bit trickier because we don't get the luxury of seeing it and physically, not all of us get to physically hold it 24/7. So it's very easy to lose track of our energy and where that's at. So, what will often happen is we will just be walking through our day, and then all of a sudden, we're angry, we're irritated, and these are things that have creeped up on us. We didn't even know that it was happening. Maybe our mind's still on what happened at breakfast or what happened during the game last night. And we'll often be tired. How many people have lost themselves so much that they forget to eat? I'm almost guilty of that almost every day. Um, the point that I'm making here is that if we go through our days unconsciously, unintentionally, then anyone or anything that comes across us can easily dip into our bowl of water, take from us without any awareness whatsoever. And though they don't mean to, it's not ever really an intentional, stab against us. It just happens. It's human nature. It's what happens. I need this paper from you, or Mom, where's my lunch? Or Dad, I need $5. Those little things start to add up. And if we're not consciously aware, they can also take from our energy reserves. So when those little things start to peck at our energy reserves and take from us, then they add up. And when something really big happens, like a car accident or a car repair bill, or let's say it's a big argument, then we have even less energy to fortify ourselves against the bigger events. And then that usually is what leaves us completely and totally depleted. Let's see what we have here. Hi, Donna. Donna says energy doesn't match well together, so she tries to stay away from her, and that is one tactic that we can use to try and protect and reserve our energy. So definitely keep that in mind as we go throughout the conversation tonight. But yes, if there's someone that you just can't work well together, and it causes too much friction, more friction than you and than your energy meshes well with, then absolutely you want to create some distance, some space from that. Yeah, yeah, especially if we're very passionate or very focused. We absolutely, Jen, so good to see you here. We will definitely forget to eat. And if, like, hunger is a powerful driver. So if we can get to the point where we're forgetting to eat. Imagine how we can just simply forget to do things like check in, like, oh, how you doing? Oh, that's a little prickly. Let's deal with that. So imagine, that there's a whole world of things happening in our energy that we're just not paying attention to or tuning into. Oh, Linda, that's true. And so then, as we know, everything's connected, right? So when our energy depletes, runs low, we have a hard time handling stressors, then one of the very first things to be impacted, second to our emotional health, is our physical health. And there's a whole slew of problems that can happen. I remember, oh man, I was just talking about this the other day. The position that I held between 2012 and 2019, my career, was a job that was very high stress. It did not match my core values. It did not match my energy, but I stuck with it because I'm just stubborn. So, and I ended up leaving that position amicably. I ended up leaving that position at the end of 2019. But at the beginning of 2019, I wanted to take Ava on a spring break vacation. It wasn't something I was able to do for her very often. And I really felt called to taking her down to Disneyland, just so that we could see Universal, more specifically the Harry Potter stuff. I really, ever since they had opened it up, I wanted so badly to see the Harry Potter universe that they had created down there. I'd been hearing about things that might be coming up around Star Wars universe and Universal Monsters. And I thought, oh my gosh, I want to see it all. But before those things release, I have to go see Harry Potter. And she loved it. She was on top of it. She wanted nothing more than to take a plane ride. It would have been her first plane ride, and go down and see the Harry Potter world. So I do all of the planning, all of the research. I try and get the best prices on air flights and hotels and booking a car and things that we can do outside, and trying to plan this 4-day trip and making it as magical and memorable as possible. And sure enough, 2 days before my trip, I no sooner leave work and I start to feel a little bit poor. And I'm like, I'm not going to let this get me down. And the closer I got to my plane flight, I'm packing, I'm getting ready, I'm making sure Ava's got everything she needs, and that we have all of our tickets printed off. The more and more sick I feel. I just feel so bad. So then, the morning of the plane flight, I did something to my knee, and it starts to swell up, and it's hard to walk on it. And I'm like, I am not missing this trip. I have non-refundable tickets. I have non-returnable plane flights. I can't miss this trip. And I forced myself to go through this trip. And we made the best of it. The moment I got into the park, it was like I was a child again, and all of the magic flew in, and I really enjoyed it. And we did enjoy experiencing things like butterbeer and pumpkin juice, and we bought wands and things like that. The moment I'd get back to the hotel, I couldn't do anything. I laid in bed and I just couldn't do anything between my knee that was swelling and hurting and hard to walk on, and my what I thought was a sinus infection at the time, my ever-present illness that just wouldn't go away. It just continued to get worse. So to end the story, I suffered through the trip. It got to the point where by the time we got home, I had to go to an urgent care because I just wasn't feeling well. Ava was starting not to feel well. And I had 3 different things going on. I had my knee that they had to x-ray, but then I also tested for the flu at the time, and some kind of staph infection up in my sinuses. So I did have a sinus infection. And so what happens is, what I had found out later is we go through our days in and out, constantly pushing our immune system, constantly pushing our nervous system. leaking our energy everywhere, weakening ourselves to our environments and never replenishing it. And so then the moment we take some time off or we go on vacation, our bodies just start to crash. All of the things that we ignored, all of the signs that we were, the universe was trying to tell us, slow down, be present, be at peace, be at ease, don't be perfectionistic, just let it go, let it flow, collect yourself. All of those things that we ignored start crashing back into injury or illness or accidents. A lot of times accidents will happen. You ever have a morning where you drop 6 things and you almost fall? It's that moment where the universe is trying to get your attention and say, hey, stop, slow down. I need you here. I need you back in your body. I need you to be present in this moment. So those are some of the things that can definitely come up when we start what I'm terming leaking energy everywhere, and we let other people collect it for us. I don't know, Julie, if that was to my, the magic came out and I was a child again, or the fact that I was walking around sick the entire time, but we did have a good time. We want to go back to Florida so that we can spend more time on the beaches. It was also Ava's first time at the beach, so we made the best of it like we always do, but I would love to go back when I'm well. But yeah, it definitely, if you've never been to the Harry Potter place, and you get the opportunity, it's a lot of fun. So how to tell in the moment, not after the fact, obviously, but how to tell in the moment that your energy is just starting to wane and fade. This, for me, I suspect it might be a little bit different for everyone. But for me, it is sudden shifts in my feeling or mood. So if I'm sitting there and I'm fine, and then all of a sudden one moment I'm just aggravated, that is probably someone somewhere that's kind of stepped into my energy field, or a scenario that's unfolding in my energy field that I'm leaking into, or that is leaking into me, and we're doing an energy exchange. And for our best and most well-being, we should never exchange our energy. Now, anyone who's psychic understands that we need our energy to be able to perceive information and understand what's going on well enough to be able to relay information from spirit. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you want to get information, not mix energy. And you can keep the two separate. For anyone who is not actively developing their gifts, or even anyone who doesn't necessarily want to practice with their gifts, you still have the opportunity to mix energy, whether you get information off of it or not. So this happened to me just this evening, and not just an hour ago. I'm sitting in the car with someone, and all of a sudden I'm just so tired. I'm like, why am I so tired? That's the first thing that you want to do, is you want to ask yourself, what is going on with me? Why am I feeling this way? And then immediately I realized it wasn't me that I was feeling. It was actually the person next to me. So we can't possibly be aware and in the moment enough to ask ourselves what and why, unless we slow down and be a little bit more present. Well, Devin, how do you do that when you've got 6 things staring at you in the face, and you've got people coming in after that, and you've got a bunch of paperwork here, and you're still thinking about what to make for dinner? That deep breath is the first thing that you can do to just bring your mind back to right in front of you, your hands, like right in front of you. Whether it's your hands, whether you're holding up your hands and looking at them, whether you're holding your own hands, whether you're closing your eyes and focusing on your breath, it all comes back to that first deep breath. That right there starts to set the intention that I am putting a stop to whatever chaos is happening around me. I'm excusing myself for a few critical seconds to recenter, refocus, and realign. It's you saying, I do not have a choice in this matter for my well being. And if I am to serve anyone other outside of myself, I must do this for myself in this moment. This works for family as well. Mom, I need this. Mom, I need that. Honey, darling, this, that. Stop. The dog needs to go out. Just stop. Stop. Take a breath, refocus and align, and understand where you're at in the moment. Understand that there is only this moment. There may be a lot of things happening in this moment, but you don't have to handle them all yourself at the same time, or all yourself at all. Being that present, conscious person in that moment gives you the power and the awareness to say, wow, I'm losing myself. I'm losing myself to the growing to-do list in my head. It is now starting to go down into my heart while everyone is just asking and taking from me and asking and taking from me. So once you have taken that deep breath and you're starting to set that intention, I am not leaking of myself anymore, you can actually start to imagine pulling your energy back in. And think of it like I don't know why this came to me, so someone may need to hear it. It's almost like a boat motor. So like or a drill, you flip the switch and it goes one way and the energy goes out. You can flip the switch the other way and it can go backwards, right? You can bring it back into you. So some kind of pump or a motor. So you can absolutely start to intentionally and consciously bring your energy back in at the same time that you are closing a bubble of protection around you. And this works beautifully when you take just a second. And if you practice it enough practice it a couple times a day. The more times during the day that you can practice it, the better, because then it'll get to the point where it doesn't matter what's going on or what's hitting you. You can just do this very quickly and realign in that moment. So Jen, that's true. That's a perfect example of prioritization. if you are trying to take a moment and collect yourself and prioritize what to do first, the dog might come first. And yes, especially if it's Lulu. She's giving me a pass right now. She's just over there laying down, but sometimes she gets persistent. I'm sure everyone has a persistent pet in their life. God bless them. Let's see, Ben, what's going on here? Can't find spirit connected to me. Like relatives. I constantly feel someone behind me, but they constantly stay to my blind spot. Okay, well, that's interesting. So one thing that I might recommend, Ben, actually, we'll leave that up. Sorry. One thing that I might recommend is if you find that you're really pushing to find out who's there, ease back a little bit. I know it gets really frustrating, especially when we can get messages for other people and not necessarily for ourselves. But the moment that we start pushing for that message or that clarity, the moment we start feeling like we're missing out or we start to get frustrated on that can actually block our ability to get those messages. And then what happens is we start rewriting a false belief that I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. So the next time that you feel a presence beside you, I might just play around with this. Just be playful with it. Because, I mean, you've got no one to answer to other than yourself, right? But the next time that you feel someone next to you, And just simply ask yourself in your head, who's with me? And the first image or word or name that comes up, take that. You've always got to take that, even if it doesn't seem to make sense. So when I first started getting messages from my ancestors and my relatives, the grandparent that I least expected to come through came through. But that was also part of the validation for me, like, oh wow, I wouldn't have thought of this person. So I have to take for granted that this is who I'm talking to, right? Because that's clearly not my imagination. And then if you do have a meditation practice, well, if you don't have a meditation practice, try doing it for 5 minutes a day to build it up. Um, and then if you do have a meditation practice, you can get to the point where you can actually try and connect to them in your meditation. So I hope that helps. I know sometimes when we're so close to a situation, we like to try and overthink it. Um, and we also like to second guess our response. So just play around with it a little bit, see if anything comes to you by simply asking, who's there and what do you have to say for me? Or what do you have to tell me? And see what comes up. But honor what comes up. Yeah. Jen, that's so true, for sure. So you're going through your day, just a quick recap, and you're feeling kind of crappy. You're tired, you're burnt out, you're frustrated. When I get like this, when I start leaking my energy, I start to get very angry and frustrated. I start to snap at people. I'm less tolerant. I'm less of my loving self. And that's all what we all are. We're all of love. And that's what we're trying to get back to, is this quality of life where we're showing up more authentically as ourselves in our most loving moments. So you notice, you get into the habit, you ask yourself, and if you've got to set a reminder on your phone, like every hour, check in with yourself. Just do it. Whatever's going to allow you to get into the habit of being conscious and conscientious in that moment, to start getting you practiced in checking in with yourself. Because then, if we have the power to pause and be aware and say, okay, wait, what's going on with me right now? And you are able to take just 5 seconds to do a quick inventory. That awareness is key. With the awareness, you can do anything with that. But if we constantly go through our days blinded to what's happening and unfolding, we're literally giving our power away to other people to use our energy as they please, not as we please. And that's what happens when we get to the weekend or our evenings and we're just like, oh God, that was a rough day, man. Like, I had so much thrown at me and I just let it all affect my energy. And there's no judgment in that. My God, I'm guilty of this to this day. I have some days where I'm like, wow, I really wasn't mindful today. And I'm really sitting here trying to recover from the day. Nothing wrong with it at all. I think it's part of the human initiation or rite of passage to learn and understand how to be present in this moment, especially in so many different societies that we live in, when we are judged on how much output we can give. And it's all appearances. It's not really quality. It's all this quantity over quality. And we don't have to live like that. So we get that moment, what's going on with me? We check in, we understand we're not happy, and we can do that quick little visualization of reversing our engine and bringing all of our energy back to us, collecting all of our energy while sealing our little bubble of protection. And if you haven't ever heard me talk about the bubble protection, that is like a white light that starts from your belly button or your heart, whichever you feel more connected to, but it grows out and around you and creates an entire seal of God's white light and protection. And this seal acts like a filter. The filter is so non-penetrating, that a lot of things will just bounce off of it, especially right after we pull it up. And then other things might come through, but it's getting the negativity and the energy that doesn't serve us is getting filtered through. So we're only getting what's of our highest and greatest good during this bubble of protection. And so here's the thing about bubbles of protection. It's like a haircut or like nail polish. It's its strongest and its finest when we first put it up. But again, as we get farther and farther away from that point that we put it up, it starts to deteriorate, right? The nail polish starts to chip, the hair starts to look a little shaggy. If you dye your hair, the roots start to show. It needs some maintenance. And that's why it's really important for us to get into the habit throughout our day to bring that back up, fortify it, set the intention, spirit, God, creator, whichever term you choose. Thank you for giving this moment of awareness. I choose to see this situation through love. Please protect me from any energy or negativity that is not of my highest and greatest good. And see how and take a few seconds after that and just sit with yourself and see how your energy changes. I've done that practice before and literally felt peace and calm instantly. And you might still have a lot of chaos going on in your day, and you might still have some things to prioritize what you want to do first. But now you're doing it with a clear and level head and with this faith and understanding that it's okay if none of this gets done. Because whatever is going to happen and unfold is going to be okay in the end. And that's another thing that we want that really drains our energy, is when we think that we are alone in the creation of our lives. And being reincarnated as human and on earth has a tendency to do that. It drives separation between us. It's me versus you. And God's not there and we're alone and I'm not connected. I don't feel connected. When those things start to happen, we will then start to get things like depression or sadness or, we won't be motivated to do anything. We don't see a point in doing anything. And that is just a huge energy leak that can really affect what is happening at any point in time. So we want to understand that there is something bigger out there than just us that helps us, that is actually conspiring to do good for us and conspiring to align us to the beautiful things that are in store for us. And when there are moments in life when tragedy happens, it's very natural to lose that feeling sometimes. And to start, why did this happen? Why is this happening to me? And there's always part of that, I think, that naturally comes up during the grief process. But just allowing that to pass is just part of our emotional healing as humans. And then coming back to that connection and finding ourselves as part of that large cycle of grief and healing. Got a little off topic there, but it came up for a reason. So I hope that has helped someone. So any questions so far on things that can trigger our energy, or things that can, or ways that we can bring our energy back to us during our days? Any questions on what to do in the moment if you recognize it? Linda. Well, I know that we all have days where it feels like that for sure. My goodness. There are some days where I'm like, the bubble's not working, God, what's up? But there's always a reason. It's just sticking around with it long enough to understand what the reason is. Like, if someone has come into your life that is just grating against your nerves and your energy, and you're like, I'm putting up this bubble, I'm giving them white light and love, and it's just not working. There may be a lesson to learn there. So, something that I have recently read about and I've been kind of processing is that everyone we meet is like a spiritual assignment. There's always a lesson to learn there or a way for us to interact with these with another person that we meet, both good and bad, and I use quotes specifically because there is no good or bad, just how we perceive it. But when the interaction is perceived positively or negatively, there's always a way for us to take a look at that and lean in to ourselves. Like, what can I do better about myself? Or what is this trying to teach in me? And what can I learn from this? With that in mind, sometimes if the white light isn't working, you may benefit from taking some time and asking yourself, what am I missing here? And you can ask your spirit guides, you can ask the universe or themselves. Um, what am I, what new, um, what new emotions are coming up for me, or what new scenarios are coming up for me, emotional lessons that I'm supposed to be learning, or situations or scenarios. Those are things that might require a little bit different perspective, or we can't just protect ourselves away from it because there's a deeper thing that we're supposed to be working with there. And of course, the moment you start shifting your perspective around it, the thing itself that bothers you starts to change too. Bubbles are us.com. I wish I wish we could market that for sure. um Oh, Linda, 100%. And thank you for sharing that with us tonight. That's amazing. That's very hard to do sometimes, especially if you're in an environment where you don't feel safe or you don't feel like you would be heard. Both of those scenarios have kept me from, in the past, kept me from sharing my voice. And what happens is when, I mean, I'm sure you all know, when we don't step forward and we don't share our voice, not only is a piece of our soul not being honored, but then others who can benefit from what we have to say or what we have to share miss out on that. So um, I think getting comfortable with vulnerability, or getting comfortable with discomfort, um, has a lot of powerful meaning when it comes to speaking our voice, even in moments where it feels uncomfortable. Um, but yeah, if that lesson has come up for you, I would definitely give that another look and give it some deeper meaning. You can even try meditating around that. I'm always big on meditating around getting a deeper meaning on something, because what happens is sometimes, like while I'm cutting up vegetables for dinner, I'll get a flash of insight, but I'm like, I'm not really sure what that was. Like, I know it was intentional and I know it was meant to be heard or seen or however it came across, but I'm not really sure what it's meant for. And it's not until I slow down and give it that time and space, that sacred time and space of meditation, that I can actually hone in and get that deeper meaning and get some insight that often is like that aha moment, like, oh, okay, I see. I get it now. And then you're able to process it with your own innate wisdom, and just know how to work with that information. Sometimes it could be a flash from your childhood and there's some other things to come up from that, or it could be something that happened at work earlier in the day. It could be anything that comes up for you, but that's why I'm always so big about meditation, especially when we get those flashes of insight. And if you really do think like your energy is just being drained and the protection's not working, um, the mindfulness and the deep breaths to reset and take a moment to ground in that moment and ask yourself what's going on and why. If none of that is really working, then it probably is a bigger message that you can work with your spirit guides or with a spiritual leader. Like if we were working together, we could walk through that and start talking about some of the underlying concepts of why that has come up for you and what intuitive messages that come to me about it from your guides. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Is that Greg? Thank you so much, whoever. I can't see from here who posted. I know on Facebook it gives the little post by, but I can't see it from here. So on the weekends, you may have gotten to the weekend and the week was better suited as an opportunity to learn. Like you weren't maybe quite as successful as protecting your energy, and you're just feeling blur by the time you get to the weekend. What do you do? Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to be gentle with yourself and you want to be kind with yourself. I am a huge proponent and advocate about showing kindness to ourselves. I don't think we are nearly as kind to ourselves as we need to be. And kindness goes beyond the occasional massage or pedicure or fishing trip or camping trip, whatever you do for yourself that you really enjoy. Kindness for ourselves really shows up in those quiet moments when we are having a constant internal dialogue to ourselves. And I think what happens, unfortunately, is that internal dialogue is filled with sad things. Why did I do that? That was so stupid. I should have known better. Why did I let that person do that? That was so dumb. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you is a big one. What is wrong with me? These little things that we talk to ourselves about, it's another energy drain. And so if you're finding yourself getting to the weekend and you need to recover from an energy drained week, you can do it actually quite quickly. It doesn't take a lot of effort. But one thing that will absolutely halt your progress, one thing that will absolutely start to whittle away at your well-being is this little chatter in your head that tells you that you can't do anything right, that you're not worth anything, that the argument that someone had with you was always your fault. And, these little things that pop up, we got to be mindful of how we talk to ourselves. And so the next thing that I would recommend is during those moments where you have time off to yourself. And if you don't have moments of time off to yourself, please start making some. Even if it's just 30 to 60 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day, no amount of time is too little, but you've got to start making some time for you. During those moments for yourself, really start to understand and catch yourself in some of the things that you're saying. Our mental chatter and the conversations we have with ourselves, it's so disheartening. And it breaks my heart. And I speak from, and please, I'll get a full sentence out in a minute. I have so many feelings going on inside in this moment. I speak from experience, which is why I'm so passionate about this. It's absolutely heartbreaking when we degrade ourselves or when we make fun of ourselves or when we criticize or ridicule ourselves in our own head. You are your biggest champion and you're your biggest confidant. And when your thoughts don't reflect that, it'll be one of the quickest things to tear you down. And so often those conversations we have in our head then often will get mirrored back to us from our external circumstances. So if I constantly have the mindset in my head that I am tired all the time, then I will constantly feel tired all the time from the things that come to me in my around in my life. Or if I constantly tell myself I'm so stupid, I can't do it, you're always going to, excuse me, find examples of situations, people, places, things that make you feel stupid and inadequate. And that's so unfair to everyone here. Um, that is big guilt. And I've had friends, I've got friends now. I've been in that place. No matter how you want to spin that, whether it's, you're in a situation where maybe the family is separated and you feel guilty for your kids for that, or you're in a situation where you can't separate and then you feel guilty about that too. We got to stop shaming ourselves. The first way to be able to step into any type of change or awareness about what's happening in that moment is we've got to be kinder to ourselves. I just did this last night. So for instance, I told myself here lately, I don't want to eat any more fast food. I started a position at a emergency veterinarian clinic here recently. And last night was a really stressful night, and it got to the point where I didn't even get to eat my dinner until like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And by that time I was so stressed, I didn't really feel like eating. And so what happened was when I got off work, I was like, I just want something to eat. I'm so hungry. And so I went ahead and I got fast food again, even though I told myself I wasn't going to. And after I'd done eating Untitled Chapter, why would you do that? You failed. You told yourself you weren't going to. Now you've lied. You're a liar. And I did. I stopped myself. And this is literally an example of the conversation that I have with myself. And I put this out there for others because it sounds silly. Some might say that it sounds mentally unstable, but this is how I talk to myself. Hold on, girl. It's okay that you did what you did. And now you have the option to be very grateful for the awareness of this deeper level within you. What happens when you get stressed or highly emotional? And I told myself it's okay. It's okay and you have permission to take these actions and to live your life the way that you want to. And it's also okay to look at it in a different perspective to try and garner some information or some meaning out of what happened. But the first thing I told myself was, please stop. None of this is true. You're a beautiful divine being, just like everyone here that's watching is a beautiful divine being. And whatever inner chatter that you might have going on, just take a second look. Just take a second look. And I would even encourage you to maybe talk to yourself or start talking to yourself like you would your child or your best friend, your sister, your mother, your brother, who that person in your life that you're just like, could be a pet, that person in your life that you would always support and nurture and comfort no matter what they were going through. So that is what I had tonight to talk about energy and protecting it and what to do when your energy kind of dissipates and leaks out. Leaking energy is a gross visual, but I think it's a powerful one. And I don't want to leak my energy onto other people like antifreeze. And I don't want other people's energy to leak out on me. So keep those bubbles up and take those deep breaths and start, getting into the habit of checking in with yourself, asking the what and the why. And, maybe just say some very nice, loving things to yourself, even just in your head. And if it feels really foreign at first, that's okay. Just keep doing it because eventually it'll start feeling better to you. And if you have any questions or if you want to work one-on-one, I can be reached at devinevans.com. I can also be reached through my business page on Facebook at Devin Evans Psychic Medium. Thank you so much. I hope everyone enjoyed the show tonight. Thank you for returning on my new night. And after having a week off, it's so wonderful to see everyone here. I am so glad. Thank you, Donna, Barbara, Damaris. I'm so glad that you guys liked it. I wish everyone for a beautiful week. Please return back here tomorrow night for Scotty Rourke's show. He has an amazing guest from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood on. And I'm so excited for that show. And then, of course, Thursday night, Sharon will be right here with her Oracle card readings. And Friday, Greg Koss will return with the Shadow Hour. And then our good friend Jen Hodgson has her show every Sunday night, Simply Spirit. Beautiful show, beautiful lady. On her Facebook page, Jen Hodgson, Psychic Medium. I hope everyone has an amazing week. I'm sending my love and energy out to you guys without leaking it. And I love you all. Please take care and have beautiful, energy conserving weeks. Goodbye.